All right, we're going to start here in 30 seconds. Oh, Gina's back. We're going to start now. Good morning. Not many people here. How many people's on Zoom, Maggie? 130? Shit, 130 people in bed watching sales meeting. You people got up, took a shower, and came here. Good for you. All right, we're going to do a quick little fun video. Then we're going to do a quick little more serious video that I really want you to pay attention to. The man team sat through 7 hours of diversity training last week. Oh my God, I thought I was going to die. Watching a video for 7 hours or speaking for 7 hours on Zoom is not my idea of fun, but there was some good stuff in that we are going to share with you guys. So first one, I think you'll get a kick out of this. Christy, good job with that. So this next one, and when I have Scott come up, we're going to probably talk about that because I think there's a lot of money being spent. There's some testers here in Omaha, so you really need to be aware of this. We all should know what we should be doing, but this video is a real-life video of agents that got caught on video with testers. And when they test you with one person, it's just not the one person that's coming through your open house or calling you. They're gonna have a couple different people coming in and ask the same question, see, are you treating everybody the same? So can we play that one real quick? I'll let Scott expand upon this when we get up here. Shannon said, save her a seat. Do you think I'm gonna have a problem?
Don't really know certain areas that you're going to get next door. Follow the school bus. You know, that's what I always say. Follow the school bus. See the moms that are hanging out on the corners. I can't say anything, but I encourage you. I want you to go there at 10 o'clock at night with your wife to buy diapers. Go to that 7-Eleven. They didn't buy there.
No, that's great.
I have to say it without saying it. You know, you have the knowledge of the areas.
Yes.
You know. I don't want to use the word steer, but I try to I'll use another word. I've educated in the areas.
That's...
You know, I was a first-time home buyer myself one time, and I remember what the first agent told us, I don't know, 30 years ago. And I'm like, what a creep. When you think about it now, you know, and how much I've learned over the years. I mean, it's all about the location.
Wasn't there a second part of it? Okay, yes, please.
I don't know about that. I have to get you about that because I've been running like a dog.
I know. So I really need that. I won't take out anyone unless you have a pre-qualification letter. So I need to know that you're pre-qualified for a mortgage.
Oh, so that means I can't go out to see anything.
I won't do it. You can try another person, but I don't have the time to do that.
Good. I'm just going to take some notes and introduce you to signature.
What is your availability? When can you start looking at houses?
I would say not this coming week, but the following week.
Okay. So today is, let's set up our first appointment. I will send you listings this afternoon.
I don't know about that. I have to get you about that because I've been running like a dog.
I know. So I really need that. I won't take out anyone unless you have a pre-qualification letter.
Too often I hear people who maybe aren't as familiar with this kind of work say, oh, well, they were just testers. But all you have to do is tell someone, which I have to do on a fairly regular basis, that you were turned down because of your race, and tell them the circumstances that occurred on a particular test, and you will see just how real and painful that injury is.
Okay, so Scott, you want to talk about this real quick before, and then I'm going to sit you down, and then I'm going to bring you back up. So I'm not going to forget about you this time.
Well, yeah, I mean...
Can we hit that light right there, Mike? Or Jason, thank you guys. So, and there are testers out there, but the key is just thinking someone's going to come to your open house or is going to call you, you've got to treat everyone equal. There's nothing wrong with having a policy as an agent that you're not going to show any houses to anybody that's not pre-qualified. But you better make sure that
It's consistent.
that is with everybody.
Yeah, you treat everyone the exact same way. If you're going to have a pre-qualification requirement, then that better be everyone that comes in through the door. Because what they're looking for, as you can tell, is differences. And I mean, you talk about how bad can it possibly, I'm not trying to say the word steering. It's like, it's like kind of like saying, I'm not going to try to offend you, but it's just, it's all about consistency, treating everyone the same. It's absolutely your right to not work with, people that you feel unsafe with, assuming you're basing it on, a valid reason, such as, you look at forewarn, you see they have a criminal history or something like that that could concern you. Or if you're going to take people out, take them out together. But I mean, the point here is when testers come in, they all have the exact same script because they have to be consistent in how they do it to try to, basically, trip you up, make you treat them differently. And so as long as we're doing our job, which is treating everyone the same and being consistent in how we treat them, and we have the same rules across whoever's in front of us, we're going to be fine. We're doing our jobs. It's just where you see those partiality where she was like, I can't say whether this is a good neighborhood or not, but you can do these things to look at it. I mean, again, the problem is you end up recorded, right? And you think you're trying to be helpful to a single mother or a young family that are concerned about these things, and you end up being recorded, and it looks very consistent. You're treating people differently, and that's how these complaints come down. We got one, as part of this new testing that's going on about 6 months ago, and the good thing is our agent did treat both completely consistently. The way that they tried to trip them up was that our agent forgot to put them on a email drip campaign, but they did with the other person. And it was just, he went out of town, forgot about it, got that one dismissed, but he had the same requirement before he showed anyone, which is, I'm not going to take anyone out without a pre-qualification letter. And so we were able to, show that we were acting in good faith. He was consistent in their treatment, and that one went away. But, it's easy enough to get, caught up in these things if we're not, doing the right thing and treating people the right way.
Now, when people ask about the neighborhood, which is that first one, right?
Right.
Is this neighborhood safe? Blah, blah, blah. There's nothing wrong with if you, again, be consistent. If you refer them all to, here's reports you can look at, you can talk to the schools, you can refer them to places. Just make sure you're referring everybody to the same places.
Right. We gave you, I think we talked about this not too long ago, where we gave you a list of, places that you can provide to them, and they can find information about the schools, information about crime statistics. City Data is a website that has a ton of information.
Which is public
about this.
record.
It's all public record, right? They can look that up. You can direct them where to find that stuff. You're just not supposed to be, giving them your opinion about these things, because it can be considered steering or blockbusting or whatever else, trying to direct them away from certain neighborhoods by providing them this information but not that information. And so that is where it gets into a problem. You have a right to provide information to them, but it's information that they should verify on their own. Say, here's a good place to figure that stuff out, as opposed to her go buy diapers at the 7-Eleven at 10 o'clock at night. She's trying to get you to see something, which would be a lot better off if we just said, here, look at these statistics that you can find here. Omaha Police Department puts out crime statistics. There are plenty of places that rate schools. All that stuff can be found, and your job in that case is to provide them the information where to find that and be able to locate that and get all the information that they need without you giving your personal opinion about what might be better or what might be a better school district.
Perfect. I'm going to have Kevin come up, and then I'm going to bring you back up to run through some other issues. Kevin, you want to shoot up here? Guys, any questions on any of that? This seems to be common sense, but obviously, you get a tester. So the question is,
Personal opinion.
Well, hold on, because we got. Oh, I have a mic. I was trying to give Scott the mic. So the question is, if you have an out-of-towner and they say, what's your personal opinion about a neighborhood or about schools or any of those type of things? I think the bottom line is you have to refer them, you have to refer them to the sources. You have to refer them to the schools, to the public records and stuff like that. If you start giving opinions, I think you're gonna have a problem. And these testers, some of them are gonna say they're coming from out of town.
That is a tester question.
Yeah, it is a tester question, yeah.
They want you to give your opinion. Your job is to say, I can't give you my opinion on this stuff. All I can do is give you information on where to find information that can help you answer your questions.
Yeah, and you could tell them, as long as you're saying the same, go visit the different school districts for the areas we're looking at, and talk to them and gather your own personal opinion on these type of things. The schools in Omaha, really, I think, perceived as pretty good across the board.
Yeah,
but
it's hard to find a lowly rated Omaha
yeah,
school district.
so but if you start giving that opinion to that out of towner, where it appears that you're guiding them, you've got an issue. You only spent 4 years in jail, right, when you flunked this test? You got out of good behavior in 3? Hold on, Mark, because we got...
There you go. One thing that I would advise you, because I teach the fair housing classes and have for years, how they pick the people to test is they look at your advertising. And if you don't have that little fair housing logo, equal housing opportunity logo on everything, your business cards, your website before you scroll, your property flyers, because these testers get compensated for how many people they catch and they can lie to you. So go through all your advertising, make sure property flyers in the houses, your business cards, anything you have out there that you present, that little equal housing logo has to be on everything, and otherwise put a bullseye on it. Okay?
Yeah. Maggie?
So just one thing. So
You do that,
idea.
right?
But
You do
everything
that
has
through
to be
anything
that way.
running through marketing, you do that on. Okay. So if you're running through marketing, you should be safe. All right. Any other questions, guys? And we do know specifically they have funded Omaha as an area where they've got a fair amount of testers right now, right?
$250,000.
$250,000. Okay. So shoot away. Why do they get paid? I don't know, but it's amazing they haven't caught you, Fred. Where was he even at? I heard his voice.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kevin Gross. I'm with American Home Shield. So just to remind you all, American Home Shield, we have 3 separate plans. We have our Shield Essential, which is the same coverage as our seller's coverage, all the major mechanical systems, your furnace, air conditioner, hot water heater, sump pump, plumbing systems, and electrical systems. All of our plans are going to cover unknown, undetectable pre-existing conditions. They're going to cover failures due to improper installations, repairs and modifications. We're going to cover failures due to sediment, rust and corrosion, and so forth. Your clients are going to get the highest, most comprehensive coverage that is available out there for home warranty coverage, okay? With our seller's coverage, that's going to cover a lot of the things that come up during home inspections. Make sure you're electing for and selecting American Home Shield seller's coverage. If you're working with a buyer, you're not having inspections. I would not recommend not having inspections, but it's happening a lot today. The warranty could pay for itself with the things that come up once you close and those new buyers come in, right? With inspections, we constantly see slow drains, drippy faucets, leaks under the sink, and things like that, right? If you didn't have inspections, buyer moves in, now they're finding these items, they're paying for that out of pocket. Where if they had a home warranty, you pay your $100 service fee, we're gonna send somebody out to take care of that. And then we're gonna cover that house for the next 365 days. And if anything fails during that 1 year, they're still gonna have that coverage. Shield Essential is $525. That's a minor investment to make sure your buyers are covered, okay? Shield Plus adds appliances, kitchen and laundry appliances at $700. Shield Complete adds ceiling fans, garage door openers, and exhaust fans, right? If you want one plan, one price, it's always American Home Shield. Shield Plus, $700, okay? A great service we are now also offering for a limited time. So all buyer warranties from now until July 31st, if we have success, guys, and we see a lot of closing with this program, it will be extended. It's free rekey service. Absolutely free rekey service. So today, that's $107 by the time you add tax that your buyers are paying for rekey. We are going to have, they don't have to submit an invoice.
That's part
they
of
don't
the
have
$700 plan?
That's part of all plans.
Okay.
Right now, all plans have rekey service available. You pay your service fee. We send somebody out to rekey your home, okay? That's going to be free. You don't have to have the work done, submit an invoice to us and get reimbursed. We're going to have somebody reach out to your clients once we receive payment to schedule that, and they're waiving the service fee. If for some reason that needs to be done sooner than when we receive payment, just contact me. I'll have my field sales coordinator reach out to the buyers and get that started right away.
I'm sorry, did you say that will be starting, or is that?
That's active right now. Free rekey service is active right now.
It started
on
immediately.
anything closes.
Right now.
If you had anything that closed in the last 60 days, and actually, it was a week or two ago, you should have received an email from me when that started.
We don't read emails.
Yeah, it's going all to your spam.
We're
and
real
junk.
estate agents.
Like a deal that closed a couple weeks ago, would that be eligible?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So if you had a deal that closed in the last 60 days, they didn't purchase a warranty, reach back out to them and let them know, hey, American Home Shield has this.
He's saying,
offer
what if
right-
they purchased a warranty 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
This client has your warranty.
'Cause-
Can I tell him to call
yes.
and get his rekey?
We will reach out to them. Our welcome call team will reach out to them once we receive payment. If you want it done sooner than that, email me his contact info. I'll have my field sales coordinator reach out to him.
Yes.
So that pertains to the ones that are pending as well. What if you have a situation where the buyer is not moving in for a month because, in this day of negotiation, they said that's fine, you can stay an extra month, and so can they do it when they take possession instead of when they close?
Aren't they?
Correct.
Oh, because you're saying they're closing and they're having, and the seller's staying in their post. So in that case, yeah, the seller's staying there for 2 months after they've closed on it. Yeah, you would do it
Correct.
when they.
So when they'll call and schedule and they can place the rekey service, then Leaping Lizard does most of our rekey. So when Leaping Lizard calls to contact you, just say, hey, we want to schedule this for 2 months from now. Yeah.
Guys, I got a question because we were having a little bit of debate in our managers meeting yesterday. Heather is of the impression, I think most of us conclude in the conversations we're having with you guys, the vast majority of these deals, inspections are not being done. Maybe Midtown, they're being done. Most of these West Omaha houses, you guys are in these multiple bid situations on these 2, 3, 4, 500,000 houses. Inspections are not getting done. Heather's of the impression that more agents, because they're not making it subject to appraisal, are putting like a 210 on there to protect the buyers. Scott and I were the impression probably that's not happening, although we think it should be happening. Are you guys raise your hands, I guess, if you're saying you're not doing an inspection. If you don't do an inspection, you're making sure you're putting in a warranty on there.
Ones I've seen, on the listing side, the buyers or agents are putting in, the buyers buying it.
The buyer's buying it, right? Exactly. And I think the buyer is buying it. Seller, because we're not asking sellers to pay for anything right now, right? So, okay. Yeah.
There's that what's it called, the top program?
Our plan is the Shield Complete plan is the top plan.
Sewer?
It'll cover everything inside the foundation of the home. If there's a sewer line outside the foundation, would not be covered. We'll clear stoppage, but no breaks.
Any other questions, guys? All right. Thank you. I'm gonna bring Jay Brown up first, Scott, and then I'm gonna bring you up. Okay? Go get some breakfast. Jay has done a great job revamping our training program. We're trying to connect a lot of pieces. We've got Mark and Shelley talking to each other, but we've just started this year, right? Bringing, actually just the last month or two, bringing in top producers, which is something we used to do, those of you who've been around with us for many, many years, bringing top producers in on a regular basis to do training classes. And we've had over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, what? Matt Beers.
Yep. So we started with Matt Beers, Joellen Keating, Mamie Jackson, and last week we had Mike Pettit. So, and then we'll have 2 or 3 weeks off, and then beginning of June we'll have Diane Hughes, Mike Bjork, and Mike Evans that are going to be in.
And if you guys got better agents for us to pick, this is all we could get. I mean, please give us suggestions.
So what we're doing, like when Matt Beers started, and these are all being in person or on Zoom, and so we're recording all of them.
We'll send that out with this link.
Yep.
For salesmen.
And so there was a little confusion. I thought I was being smart, trying to make it easy, and I came up with a website that was too close to BHHS resource. So we changed that. So it's actually ambagentTools.com. So we'll email that out. If you guys all have access to it, if you don't know your login, you can actually just click forgot password. It'll send you a password reset. And then all these are online right now. The only one we're working on is Joellen Keating's. But otherwise, the other 3 are already online to watch. Matt Beers had a great one because one of the things that I thought was great, besides him just talking about, it doesn't matter how great the video it is just doing the consistency of it. But one great takeaway was using Snapchat or TikTok, even if you don't use that as a platform to post, they've got a great editor on there that you can actually edit videos and then just download them and use them in whatever platform you want to use. Joellen Keating, she just had great insights on, she's been building her business for 16 years, all by referral. She does more Buffini, but she had some great insights, what she does for like her shred event, things like that. So I'd go back and watch that video as well. Mamie Jackson, just hilarious, but she had some great takeaways. One of the things
Is that her tagline? Just hilarious?
Just hilarious. I put on hers laughing at her. I wanted to have something fun, so I was trying to take like a comedy aspect. So Joellen's was unfiltered, you know. Mamie's was laughing at herself because she's very open about when she makes mistakes, but then moving forward. And that's kind of what her talk was about, was you can always make mistakes in this business, but it's what you do and pick yourself up and keep on moving forward. And she was just, Brian Thomas was in that, and she's so authentic that I'd go back and watch that again. She had some great takeaways there as well.
And if she can hold Brian Thomas's attention, she can hold anybody's attention.
But one of the things I loved about her, and she said it before, is she approaches the day would be, we're all independent contractors. She goes, based off what I did today in my real estate business, would I have got fired? And I just thought that was a great concept to think of. Did you get up and do what you needed to do? And so go back and watch her video. And then Mike Pettit ended and he talked about all new construction, what you need to do in this market. It was really relevant what we're talking in masterminds with new construction. The shortage of, they were building 500 less houses each year for the last 10 or 12 years. And what the pricing was doing, how you can represent your buyers. And so again, another video I would go back. He also gave 2 different sheets that were downloaded that he gives to his team. One was if you're brand new construction, what you can do from like the different processes in building a house. And he breaks everything down. And so that's on the AMB agent tools as well. All you have to do is when you get in there at the very top, you don't even have to look. You can just type in Matt and the article will come up with the video. You can type in Mike Pettit, the article will come up. All the slides, any handouts, everything's there for you guys.
Thank you. So we're gonna continue to do these throughout the year, bringing those in, and it's really based on this attitude of abundance. Is top producers are willing to share ideas with that. So if you guys have a subject matter that you think is important, that you're willing to share, please reach out to Jay on that. But we want to start getting, the goal of me having Jay come up here is agents are taking time, and time is very valuable right now, because I think we all know, right, everyone's busier than they've been in the past, but take time to show up for these things, because I promise you, every one of those, you're going to walk out of there with something that you can go back and implement into your business that's going to help you be more productive. So thank you, Jay. Scott, come on up if you could, sir. Talking about new construction, I don't think we actually had talked about all the craziness. It had started probably a month or so ago, but really over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I think there's been a big buzz that we have a whole array of builders now going back to home buyers, you know, talking about lumber prices. And lumber prices is I've heard yesterday, Terry, maybe you can tell me if you know what this is, and it's per 1,000 square feet, right? It's went from $400 and some a year ago, and it's now at $1,700. And I think when we were having our new construction meeting a week and a half ago, it was at $1,400. So it's went up another $300 just in the last week and a half. And so builders, Scott can address this better than I do, but we gave a number of our builders some verbiage to put in their contracts for cost escalation causes to go back to buyers if there's things outside of the control. And the number one thing that builders were hearing are going back to potential buyers under contract about is the lumber cost, saying, listen, I understand the house is under contract for $500,000, but the lumber cost, when we dropped it, the lumber yards are not on our cost, it's $35,000 more. And then as a general rule, they're giving the buyers the opportunity at the time. If I got this wrong from any of you, I have a number of you out there that have builders. If I have this wrong from anyone, please raise your hand and tell me. But from what we're hearing from anybody that's been having these conversations, they're saying you can get out of it now, or you can wait till we drop the lumber. We're going to give you a firm price at that time. And if you'd like to get out of it at that point in time, you can, and we will give your deposits back to you. Is that a fair statement? If I could have a shake of heads of those, okay. And I've heard different stories. Some people are saying they've had none fall through, and I've had other people say that they've had a substantial chunk fall through. I think the price seems to matter a little bit on this, but it's a difficult conversation. So I think those of you, because how many in this room has a buyer doing a new construction right now? If you're doing any business at all, probably, right, most of us, right? So it's not important just for the listing agents to understand what's going on here. I think it's important for you that have buyers that you're showing new construction to, or have buyers in this process right now that have not had their lumber dropped, to understand what's going on, because there is the potential of the builder coming back to them in most of the contracts, the way that most of these contracts are written, right? It's at their sole discretion. And
yeah, it definitely
really,
depends on the builder. Some
depends.
had it in their some had it in their builder addendum, some didn't. Some are just going back and saying, "Look, we haven't even started this, but we're going to have to do something like that." There's lawyer letters going out right and left right now, so it's all over the place as to kind of what's happening and how builders are handling it.
The lawyers every time. It's amazing to me.
As it should be.
So do we have any thoughts or questions? Any of you? I see 5 or 6 of you that do some new construction. Anyone want to add anything or subtract anything from what I said? Okay, go ahead. Julie, can we run a microphone out? She's out in the other room, of course. She wanted to be comfortable. Yes.
Mike had mentioned that there could be congressional investigations as to how this price increase has gone up so dramatically, and it's not just COVID related.
Mike Pettit said in his thing.
Well, I wasn't at his thing, but when I talked to him on the side there, have you heard anything about that?
I've not heard that.
And
the idea of gouging, that they're just gouging at this point?
Yeah, that it's not the mills that are making the money that is being increased so much, but it's in between there. And that it's, if you've heard any of that.
It's a good question. That'll take 4 years to figure that out. So,
and 75 attorneys.
Yeah, well, probably more than that, thank God. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. There's a supply problem one way or the other. I mean, you can talk to any lumber yard in town, and they're saying it's tough to get lumber, which is why they used to let them lock in, options and pricing. But they can't meet the options in the future. All they can do is just fill the order now.
But they're at the end.
What's that?
So there's a lot in between the mill and the
lumber. Yeah, there's always middlemen, right?
Yeah, and then is there any speculation on, they were talking about in October it could come down? I know it's all here.
I've heard July, I've heard October.
Do they have a
I heard last October.
Yeah. I assume it'll come down when it comes down.
Every builder has a different opinion on it. Julie, I was talking to a builder last night. It was like 1,700 has got to come down, but I heard builders saying that when it was at 800, 1,100, and 1,400. So it's just almost unpredictable.
And Julie, I can promise you, when it does come down, the builders aren't going back down. So, all right, it's going to stay where it is. The pricing is going to stay where it is. It's just not going to advance for, it's not going to have to keep jumping up every couple of weeks. It'll just be more consistent, hopefully.
So we've never seen anything like this. So if you've got a buyer in that situation, you want to sit down and grab us, we're happy to. I think for the most part, I would tell you, I don't think any of the listing agents have had these conversations. We're excited about having these conversations. But I think as a general rule that the conversations I've heard, the listing agents have done a fairly good job of describing this. And I'm just telling everyone, we just got to deal with the facts. I mean, we got to just say, here's what's going on. Here's why we're doing this. And I think as calmly and as detailed as possible, just walk through everyone what's going on. And then, as the buyer's agents, you've got to be the advisor to them. And if they back out of the deal, are they going to go, they're probably not going to get a better deal going to another builder at this point in time, because what we've seen is lumber prices just have continued, like I said, over the last 2 weeks, went from 1,400 to 1,700.
And I know a lot of the builder agents have had conversations where the people went, well, anyone who's following what's going on out there can't be surprised by you coming back to us on this conversation. I mean, a lot of people know what's going on, so.
I have heard, go ahead.
How does this work on the appraisal side?
Well, that's part of the problem. Not well. And so we are now. It's been forever since I can ever remember. Almost any builder, when you're having, not talking about spec homes, but when we're talking about custom homes, something being built from scratch, right? It's almost been in every builder's contract. Again, I'm going to look at since the beginning of time, that if this house is not appraised out, too bad, too sad. You're still buying this house. If there's a $10,000 shortfall or a $50,000 shortfall, we contracted for you to build this house. You better figure out how to have the financial means to do that. Is right? Yes. Everyone's shaking their head yes to that I'm looking at here. So, but the problem we're having right now is, and I think this is going to start solving itself a little bit as some of these new construction houses start closing from before, but But the truth is the prices that building the house today is not what it was 3-4 months ago. So I can definitely see, depending on the appraiser you get, you're going to have some issues on appraisals. And we have actually seen even on celebrity homes. We talked about this a month or two ago. We've seen even on celebrity homes, you know, houses under 400,000 coming in that came in $40-some thousand low. So, and you can go protest those appraisers, but in many of those cases, those appraisers are not bringing that appraisal back up to the purchase price. So
yeah, because they're building the identical house and just, you know, a price jump 2 weeks later, you know, so it's the appraiser looks at it and goes, well, nothing changed.
Here's what's important to me in that situation. That's the reason it's just as important for those of you not representing a builder that has buyers looking at new construction to make sure that they understand this is part of your contract. This house is going to be done for 10, 12, 14 months. If that house does not appraise out, you're still obligated to buy that house. They need to understand that. And that situation is the exact opposite of what I said when they drop lumber. Most of these builders, everyone I've heard so far, is saying, we're going to give your deposit and your money back to you. This situation is the exact opposite. If we get to the end and this thing doesn't appraise out, I don't know of any builder that's going to give you your deposit back at that point in time. So that's got to be a conversation. I'm hoping all the listing agents are also kind of bringing this up front, saying, you know, in the past, we've not had a problem on appraisals, but who knows? I mean, this market's so irrational. It's really hard to say what's going to happen. And a lot of these houses that have been started during this process have not closed yet. So any other questions or thoughts about that?
So existing homes are being forced up as well then?
Brian says existing homes are being forced up because of this also. It seems like new construction is probably bringing up existing homes a little bit, but I think existing homes more than anything else there's just a lack of existing homes. I think I've said this in the sales meeting before is the chief economist, I've heard this from 2 or 3 different sources now, says one of the problems we have of lack of existing homes for sale is ever since the crash of 2007 and 8, we've just not built enough new homes every year, and it just caught up with us. And so all of a sudden, we're at this point where we you know, every year we've just been a little short on the number of houses we've been building, and now all of a sudden it's caught up to us at a really bad time because COVID has created a supply chain issue. I don't know if I've talked to some people in the car business a couple weeks ago, and I just saw an article over the weekend talking about there's these chips, and people are like, we can't get cars done. And so someone told me on cars, it's the same situation. They're selling way more used cars right now. And the auto dealerships that I talked to said, we're buying them at 10% over what is it, MSRP, and selling them at 30% over MSRP. And so so not building enough houses for the last 12 years. And now all of a sudden, you know, everything slowed down during COVID and we don't have enough materials to get things there. Shannon and I are building the second house that we put under contract the first week of January last year that we pray is going to get done by this Labor Day. You know, my builder told me a week or two ago, he's like, we ordered your appliances 5 months ago and we're still not positive they're going to be here by Labor Day. And so this is, I mean, you just got a lot of issues that are kind of compounding themselves right now. And unfortunately, you know, I feel bad for buyers, agents, everybody, builders, quite honestly, everybody in this process, everyone's in a situation they've just not been in before. The one thing that, if it's a positive, it's not a positive for the person that thought they were buying their house for $500 and now it's not buying the house because it's $545, is I do tend to believe, and I need a shake of heads or something or some input here, but I'm assuming all of those that are at foundation permitted and started, but they haven't dropped the lumber and buyers are backing out of those, I'm assuming those are going to become spec houses, right? And the builders would probably almost rather have those as spec houses because I think I at least got 3, 4, 5 people shaking their head yes. Because what I'm hearing is builders are trying to come back and get the lumber costs for the most part. They're electrical outlets. I mean, it's electrical, it's windows, it's concrete, it's labor. A lot of other things have increased in cost. So they're probably going to bump those prices on that. I've not talked to any builder that's doing a spec home, pricing the spec home at the beginning. They're pricing the spec home at this point in time after it's been framed and probably drywall started or something like that.
Those of you that have builders, are we hearing if any of the builders are just going to go to building spec homes? Because I could see that being something that would kind of solve their pricing issue where, hey, we're not going to do customs anymore. We're going to build specs and we can change the price when we want.
I've not heard anybody saying that they're doing, Bars doing, but they're not taking any more houses, period, right now, right?
Yeah, not taking any customs. He's just going to do specs.
Bar's going to do specs only. What's Terry Krasny doing? Because she's a leading indicator. I love you, Terry, if you watch this video. Or
who the hell knows what Krasny's doing? It depends on the day, but I mean, yeah, I mean, she's trying to spec out as much as she can just because she can control the price. And frankly,
Because she had that conversation 3 months ago with us.
And of course, customs are, more painful because you work with the builder from the buyer from the very beginning and go through the entire process. Spec right now is so easy to sell. If you're a builder, why wouldn't you just spec it? You might as well finish it off, put one price on it, not worry about appraisal, not worry about the debate you get in over tile, flooring, colors, everything else, and just sell it that way. That's why Hildy is selling so many homes.
I read another way to say it, and it was saying that the amount of money needed to build an average home in 2020, they could build 10 homes for the sum of money. I think it was $50,000. And now in 2021, you can build 2.11 homes for that same amount of money. It kind of drives it home in another way if we want to talk to our clients.
That was that lumber thing, right? Yeah, I think I saw that today.
It says the lumber, I think the lumber that was required to, and they quoted the average kind of home, it was 2301 square feet was the home they were quoting. And I just thought it was another way to bring it home to our clients.
So the 10 to 2.3?
Yep, 2.11.
Got it. Any more? No?
She's waiting until she can drop lumber at a price to have.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think on L specs, everybody's doing that on a spec, right? Is she doing pre-sales though still? No. Okay. All right. So it's craziness. I don't know if we have any answers, but I do know, I would tell you firsthand, I've talked to a handful of builders that have lost money on pre-sales, and so they have anxiety too. What's going on here is real for everybody in the process. So the conversation of the builders are trying to gouge people, I don't think that's the case on any situation I've seen so far here. So if you have a builder, I think we've gave out this clause to pretty much everybody over the last couple months that have asked us. So we've got clauses for your builders to put these in there. But the second part of this appraisal conversation that you need to be having, if you have a buyer building a house, they need to understand the price they're getting today may not be the price they get when it drops. It is hard to imagine to this point that we went from $400 to $1,700 on this lumber that it can go much higher. You've got to think this thing's got to stabilize at some point in time. But that's what we said 6 months ago, right? I mean, many builders I talked to thought that over the winter months this price was going to drop back down when we were sitting at $900,000. So we wanted to run through any other questions on that, guys. I appreciate your patience. We know it's a hot subject. The next 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday, I will be facilitating. I got you, Michelle. I will be facilitating, and we'll be playing all these back for you. The very first Berkshire Hathaway Chairman Circle Diamond, which is the top 548 agents in the country, and I think we got 25 people on there. And I think most of our people, I don't see Gina, I think we counted yesterday, we have 20 people signed up for that. So I'm excited. There are going to be a number of panels. One of those panels will be new construction and stuff like that. We will take information out of there and get that back and share to you guys. And those videos will be live to everybody through the Resource Center and the IQ system moving forward. So I'm hoping to get some really great information of what are people doing to win deals for their buyers, to get listings, and how they're dealing with different issues around the country over the next couple of days that we'll come back and share with you guys here as soon as we get that information. We have
a question on Zoom.
Okay, and then Michelle, you want to go first? You raised your hand, and then I got to get my notes here. No, we're not doing that.
This clause I wrote the clause that we're talking about, I wrote in 2002. I mean, I've slipped it in every builder contract I've ever done when I was in private practice, and so I still had it. Never was it ever used until the last 6 months.
So you've had a couple versions of it. One says if it escalates a certain percentage.
Well, I've only done it one way, but builders have changed it to fit their needs.
So you want to say what your verbiage says?
Yeah, my clause always just basically said, look, if I had like a 10% tolerance in there, which said, look, if cost on any line item goes beyond a certain percentage, 10% would generally be my number, then the builder has the right to come back and either raise the price, and either buyer at that point could accept it or get their money back and walk away, outside of just their design costs. That's the whole point of the clause, which is a pretty standard clause that's been around, but it just, until now, you just haven't needed it.
Here's the major problem, as I understand this, is the majority of the builders had agreements with the lumber yards that when they bid the house out, the price was getting locked in. Is that fair?
Whenever they drop their lumber.
No.
I mean, it didn't matter. I mean, locked in.
So I come in today as a buyer. The builder gives me a price. We lock in the house at $500,000. The lumber yards, as a general rule in the past, with any builder doing a significant amount, was saying, okay, we're locking your lumber price in now. Lumber yards have now came back and says, this is so volatile, we're not getting guarantees as it's coming to us, so we can't do that to you. And that's what's created this chain reaction. Is that a fair statement, guys?
Right, that's what I meant.
Okay, that's what he meant. And so we are seeing different builders doing different ways. Most of the builders I'm seeing that are coming back are really just trying to recoup the difference in the lumber costs. But I will tell you, I've had conversations with builder after builder, labor, electrical, like I said, appliances, windows. I mean, it's just an array of things that have just escalated in cost here over the last 12 months, unlike anything we've ever seen before. But a lot of these clauses are saying, they're not all saying 10%. They're not all saying per line item. Right now, I'm actually seeing more of a tendency, the ones being used are just saying, if there's any cost escalation, we have the right to come back to you at the time we drop the lumber. And that seems to be the trigger in most of them. Is that fair? Because that's the biggest concern. Everyone's concerned about other things, but that's a real concern. Maggie, what's our question on a Zoom? Zoom us in. Well, then why wouldn't you just let Michelle ask the question? All right. So we want to talk about another issue. You want to run through this addendum that Daryl and I talked about, and he scribbled together here, Scott, kind of talking about what we've done here. If we're seeing many deals, I think I've talked about this in the past, people write cash offers because the cash offer is more appealing for the buyer to get the house. And then all of a sudden they're saying, well, we really would like to get a loan. And the listing agent is getting a call saying, hey, the appraiser's coming over Thursday. And the listing agent says, well, time out, we have a cash offer. Why is the appraiser coming over to our house? And so then we go through this whole sequence of events. Again, I would recommend the seller not sign anything, taking a cash offer to a subject to financing contingency. So here's some verbiage that we've came up with that we think makes sense to allow the appraiser to get in the house, to allow the buyer to get financing, and to protect the seller at the same time.
Right. So the point of this, right, is to make the listing agent still know you've got a cash sale. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether I get a loan or I don't get a loan. I'm going to be required to show up at the closing date and pay you the money that I said I was going to pay for your house. But the addendum is set forth, which is, it allows the buyer to try to get a loan to see maybe, hey, because it's cheaper to do purchase money than it is to refi. And so it's a cheaper loan on the purchase than it is on the refi. And so that's why when you say, well, just refi it after, well, that's more expensive, higher interest rate, all that other stuff. And so it makes more sense to try to get it before you do it if you're a buyer, even if you have the cash available, but you want to see by doing it this way. So the addendum that was put together, it basically has 4 points, which is, here's what the closing date's going to be. Purchaser may elect to finance.
And the closing date becomes a firm date now, right?
Right. In the contract.
Eliminating the other, there's 3 paragraphs that can change it in our purchase agreement.
Right. There's a 14-day clause or in one of the paragraphs in the purchase agreement. It says, look, if we're still underwriting the loan, the purchase date the closing date can move 14 days past it. This clause would eliminate that because, again, this is not a contingent contract. It's not contingent on financing. So the closing date doesn't change. It basically says, look, if you want to try to get a loan, you've got to get it done by that closing date. Otherwise, you need to show up and write a check. And so, that's the point of it. Paragraph 1 says this is what the closing date's going to be. Then it says purchaser may elect to finance some or all the purchase agreement. But then again, it reinforces that it's not contingent on financing, not contingent on an appraisal. Then paragraph 3 says seller's going to allow the buyer to have an appraisal of the house. And then the final point is that that if the purchaser doesn't get a loan, it doesn't matter. They're still required to pay cash at closing, and then all other terms remain. So the point is to allow a listing agreement, to not create a contingent financing clause, still allow that buyer to try to get the loan, but at the end of the day, not worry about it if you're on the list side because they're still required to buy it at closing cash.
Brian, hold on, wait.
You do that too. You're free to negotiate whatever you want on that stuff. So
Brian says, why not at the time that you do this, make the earnest deposit non-refundable and release to the seller? You clearly could add that statement to this. But we were just trying to make sure that because all of a sudden you didn't want the buyer to come back and say, oh no, now that's subject to loan, the loan's not done, we're going to delay this a week or 2.
Or say, it didn't appraise, now I want out.
So talking about closing dates, the old purchase agreement used to say approximate closing date. The new purchase agreement says
firm closing date. It's not an approximate.
It says a firm closing date, but then it says subject to 3 different paragraphs. One being the financing contingency
Right.
paragraph.
Title disputes, and
Right.
then the final one is title,
Inspections.
financing, and inspections.
So, go ahead.
What if you're putting in line 10 though, that date is flexible?
Then you've changed it, right?
So if you put in there,
Yeah.
so if you put in blank 10, couple things. One is time is of the essence means the dates of the contract are firm and there's no approximate dates to those. If you put the exact opposite, if you're putting in there that it may close between this date or this date in paragraph 10, that's a term that's written in there that would override anything pre-written into the purchase agreement. Other questions or thoughts on this? How many people have had this situation on either side where contract gets done cash, all of a sudden then somebody wants to switch it to finance? Because we're seeing that quite often. Wow, you're the only two?
I'm asking Julie's question. What's
You're
the
asking
name
Julie's
of-
question?
Yes, I do that
Is
for
she
her.
too comfortable drinking her coffee, sitting down,
We like
chit-chatting
her
with Maria?
She's got to watch the gift store.
She's zen right now.
Is there a big sale going on in the gift store right now?
Do you want to talk about it? What's the name of the addendum?
It's not in our dot loop. I mean,
That's what it's called?
Yeah, it's not in our dot loop. That's what it's
Thank
called.
The
We're not going to put it in dot loop because it's not for, it's not going to be part of a transaction file. This is a separate clause, really limited to a builder and what that builder might want to put into it. Most should already have language like that in their own.
Are you talking about the cash addendum to financing?
Oh, this one? This one is called nothing.
Attorneys, that's why they get paid so much. They do things twice.
No, it's its own addendum. I don't, Daryl, what do we call this one?
I could put that in the clauses.
Okay.
So put that in the clauses section and
So
and
it
title
populate in paragraph 10?
When switching from cash to financing addendum, okay? So we'll put that, Daryl will do that for us.
Then I have my question. So it still would have the contingency regarding the title, free and clear title.
Getting clear title would still be a contingency, absolutely, yes. You've got to be able to get clear title even on a cash deal to transfer.
Yeah, so it's only going to, remember the 14 days only comes into play if you have financing, right? So you'd have to have a financing contingency. The other two clauses are unrelated to it, so they're separate from it. They move the closing date based off of the terms of those specific clauses.
All right, we're not going to get through all of our subjects.
We want to do listing contracts quickly?
Go ahead.
Basically, if your mom says she's going to list with you, don't trust her. Get her to sign a listing contract before you leave. We've seen enough of these things where people are saying, my very close friend, they said that they're going to list with me, and they don't because someone comes along or they know that they're saying it.
It's not only close friend, it's brothers, sisters.
It's family, yeah. I said mom.
It's immediate family, yes.
And so there's ways to protect yourself in these situations. One, you can always do a broker exclusive, right? A broker exclusive starts today. You don't have to advertise it. You don't have to put it in the MLS. You don't have to take pictures, but you've got the security of it being under a listing contract. And therefore, if anyone comes up to that your seller and says, "Hey, can I list it for you at 3%?" They say, "Well, I'm already under a listing contract." And we just had one of these where someone tried to pick it up and we sent it to the agent. The agent had to drop their, they signed it and tried to do it, but we had a broker exclusive and therefore that new agent from a different company had to cancel their listing because we had it under contract. Another thing that you can do is no-show. You can go no-show. You'll go into the MLS, but no-show status. And remember, you can't be both. You can either be a no-show
Some of you are confused.
Yeah. Or
I'm
broker
not saying anyone
exclusive.
in this room is confused, but that we have people thinking they can do a no-show status and a broker exclusive, and they're thinking, well, because I have the broker exclusive, if someone calls me or on the sign or something like that, I can just show it and use the broker. No. The second you go no-show status, you put a sign in the yard, you market this anywhere, you cannot be a broker exclusive anymore. You can go from broker exclusive to coming soon no-show status, but you cannot go from coming soon no-show status to broker exclusive.
Right. We just had one where one of our agents, we had a broker exclusive. One of our agents sent it to an NP Dodge agent. That NP Dodge agent sent it to the MLS, and then we had to make it. We had to go live because it was no longer a broker exclusive. It had to go active in the market. And so again, these rules aren't our rules. These are the MLS rules. And so if you violate them, you can get a fine. We had a really upset seller whose house went from what they thought was going to be a broker exclusive to, now it has to be live in the MLS on the market because of the rules. And so you can't have it both ways. You either got to be this or that, and that's you got to be in one status, not both. You can't switch back. You can't switch back from a no-show to a broker exclusive. Once it's in the MLS, it's in the MLS.
Now, the one place that I don't know, if Scott and I agree or disagree. I did call the Real Estate Commission, and the Real Estate Commission tended to agree with us. Is that if a seller is saying, "I want broker exclusive," there's never a time I want this to be publicly displayed, a sign in the yard, or to go into MLS for others to see. Greg Lemon has said he thinks that would override any MLS rules you have. I think there's a clause somewhere that says that you couldn't violate a state law. An MLS rule cannot violate a state law. Is that true or this is a little gray?
Right. So I think the Real Estate Commission wouldn't care about the MLS rules. Of course, they're going to apply what they think is the law, and of course, their job is to protect the consumer. And so, if the consumer wants it this way, the Real Estate Commission would say, then it should be this way. The MLS rule would be clear and say, no, you can't do that. And so, I think there's clearly, a dispute that could happen at some point if someone wanted to push it. But, and of course, you could always, and of course, the Real Estate Commission could say, Real Estate Commission doesn't care if you're a member of the
right.
NAR or the MLS, and you don't have to be. You just have to be under a broker. And so I think the catch that you could get into is that Real Estate Commission could say, no, you can't do that rule, but the MLS could still say, to be our member, you do have to follow that rule. So,
now, the one thing you got to realize, the MLS, it's not the local boards. A lot of this has been mandated down.
This is a national rule.
These have been some of these have been mandated down from the National Association. So coming to us and saying, hey, our local MLS needs to change this, it's not going to do any good. They are literally mandated to have a charter if they're going to keep that, to do this nationally.
You want to be part of the group, then you got to follow those rules.
Last thing that is important, but we don't really want you to do. Scott, unbeknownst to me, Daryl was making a statement yesterday, which I was agreeing with. Scott says, oh no, we changed that 2 weeks ago. The listing agreement does have...
Truthfully, let's get into it. There was never the ability in a listing contract for someone to say, well, the listing period starts in 2 weeks. I can list it with somebody else and cancel that listing contract. That's not what you can do. That's called,
not the intent of the listing.
Well, it doesn't even matter. That's an anticipatory breach of the contract. That means, because if I agreed to you, if I'm a seller and I said, in 2 weeks, I'm going to list my house with you, I can't list it with someone else or sell it, without breaching my contract, because I said in 2 weeks I was going to allow you to list it, and I breached it anticipatorily. I've not allowed you to give that chance.
But let's be clear on one thing.
Right.
This isn't saying I'm going to list my house with you in 2 weeks. This is saying I have a signed listing agreement today.
Yep,
that has an effective date 2 weeks from now.
So I sign a listing agreement today, but I'm not going to go. It's not going to be effective. The listing period's not going to be effective for 2 weeks. Now, we've had situations before where someone goes in that 2 week period, they sell it or they list it with somebody else. To me, that's a pure breach of that contract, and it's not allowed under contract law. But to make it clearer, we've added language within the listing contract that says, in fact, clearly that is a breach of the contract. You can't do that, and if you do, you breach it to the terms where you owe us a commission if you've sold it to somebody else.
So the bottom line is, if you list today with an effective date 2 weeks from now, Scott now has in the verbiage in here that makes it crystal clear they would breach it. With that being said, we would still prefer you to do a coming soon or a broker exclusive. Versus even getting in a debate over this.
I think the question would be is if you go up to somebody, you go to a seller and you go, hey, is it listed? And they're like, well, not yet. You're going to think, oh, then it's open. I can do it. I can something like that, and then you get into a really awkward situation,
You're
right?
creating a lot of
where you might have to. You don't want to sue your seller. You don't want to go into a lawsuit over that. It's a lot easier if they can just say, well, it's a broker exclusive, it's listed already. I mean, or it's a no-show status. That's a lot easier. No-show status is very clear. It's in the MLS. Broker exclusive, a little less, but at the very least, that seller can say, I'm under a listing contract right now. I can't list with you. You have to work with my agent. I just think it reinforces it to a seller that I'm under a contract and there's no way I can get out of it.
Go ahead. One and then two.
This isn't about the listing contract.
It's about the gift store?
No, it's about, in the commission newsletter, it indicated that paying an agent to show for you and not having that fee go through the broker.
That's been a violation from the time immemorial. It's always, you can't pay somebody to
But Show For Me, the app is.
Well, hold on.
Hold on.
Okay, So
don't get so excited. Don't debate us yet.
I pay.
So
Am I going to jail?
This has been going on. Yeah, this has been going on forever, right? Where we go, hey, I'll give you $25 to go show me a house, or if you were the Blythes, they'd give them $40, and they'd show a house in Plattsmouth, and then tell them to drive up to Blair and show another house. That's a CBS joke for everybody. And that was always a violation of the rules. It's just, who's going to enforce it, right? It's so small, it's not going to come to the attention of the Real Estate Commission. Well, it came to the attention of the Real Estate Commission, and Greg Lemon put it in the comment that that's a violation of the rules, which it is. It is and always has been. And so the question is show for me, right? So show for me is more, it's a more refined process of doing this. It's a business to do this. And the question is as they're set up currently, are they violating the rules? Well, we've had discussions with Greg Lemon at this point, the testers have, and his position is yes, that the only way this would work is you'd have to pay the broker directly, and then the broker would have to pay the agent directly. I got into a debate with him because there's actually a law that says that you can get permission from the broker to pay them as long as it's from the broker and the broker says it's okay.
Which is what we gave Show for Me when they started.
Right, which is what we did from the beginning. And Greg Lemon says, no, that's what it says, but that's not what it means.
I had this debate with him 2 years ago.
Right. So that is a legal debate I disagree with Greg Lemon about that. I think every broker has always thought that meant what it says, which is I'm the broker. This person's an agent employed by me. I have the right to sign something, a form that says you can pass it outside of the brokerage. His argument would be yeah, that's what it says, but that's not what they meant when they put it into place. And so that's the debate we're currently having. So there's ways to make Show for Me legal. It's a bigger process than we probably want to get into, frankly.
Then Michelle, then we're done.
I'm just kind of aware that some people have, there are a few people that I've met that have office exclusives, don't really know what that means, like that they can't list with somebody else while they're under an office exclusive. Do we have, I think it's important that we explain it. Do we all
Seems like the agent should explain it at least, yeah.
But I've come across those situations where that's not always the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they took the time to read the one, I know that no one's going to take the time to read the listing agreement.
You're saying the other agent doesn't understand. They're like, a broker exclusive is not a listing agreement that you can still list with me. They're telling the seller.
It happens both ways. I think
they don't know they need a listing agreement.
I don't
to
think
go
a
along with
broker
it.
exclusive is that big a deal in a lot of companies, because the only place it would be a big deal is right here, because
we have such
the only
large
ones
market
that have
share.
enough agents to really make a difference.
Right.
And so
too bad, too sad.
As we're being told by other brokers in town. So yeah,
we are to that point. We're doing more broker exclusive than all the market combined, probably times 2 or 3, to be honest with you. And
Right.
we're seeing our numbers at all-time highs there, and other brokers have complained saying they don't like this rule because we have 10% market share, and a broker exclusive is not really good for us.
There was an article in Inman just about this yesterday, about how livid the smaller brokers are, because that's what happened. This rule went into place, and the broker exclusives went through the roof, and they do really well with the people with market share.
People that have large market
which
share.
is what we have. So, we are at an advantage because of that rule.
But I agree. There's more confusion on a lot of fronts. Some of we were going to get into today, which we're not because we're over time, than ever before. Michelle, wrap us up.
Back to the listing. Can you have the listing agent show it for you? Is that any issue at all?
As long as you don't pay them.
Right, I didn't pay them. They didn't do it.
Again, you just can't have a transaction, right, where you say, if you do this, I will pay you. That is a violation of the rules, because it has to come through the broker.
We've got to get this resolved with the Real Estate Commission, because a better question may be, is can I have a team member show it for me?
Right.
And so there's
or a licensed assistant.
Or a licensed assistant. Now, I think there's ways when you list your properties, we already have set up and in place, Brian, remember, where you make all team members an additional seller's agent. That would take care of that all by itself, right?
Yeah, correct.
So if you're a team member and you list everybody as additional seller's agents, that resolves that issue, and all your team members would be able to take care of that. If you don't do that, you have a different issue that we've got to work through. We're going to take the stance. I'm going to get on the phone with you to call Greg, and we'll debate this again. But I firmly believe if we as the broker give you permission to pay your team members to show a house for you, which is what we've done for Show for Me, that should be legally binding. That's what I read to him. Now, he told me when I got done arguing this with him 2 years ago, he's like, I don't read it the same way, but we're not going to pursue you on it. but now he's put it in the commission comment, so he may have a different point of
He
view.
changed his opinion.
So we'll see where we're at on that now. But guys, great day. We're going to hopefully have a great couple days with the Chairman Circle of Diamonds the next couple days. Those of you are qualified, please jump on that and take some notes, because I'm probably going to get a panel together for our next thing for our top takeaways from that I'd like to share back with you guys. And that video, according to Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, tells me is all going to go live back into the resource center in the IQ system. So I'll make sure Maggie and Gina gets that, and we get that out to you as soon as we get that from them. So guys, a lot of craziness out there. We're here to help you. Keep working, keep grinding, stay healthy. Thank you.